Like, I'm literally a 19-year-old kid having conversations with CEOs of these billion-dollar record labels. But then, talking to Gary Vee, and he tells you, oh yeah, I've been watching the stuff that you're doing for Dax. It's really good. Like, having Gary Vee tell me that, I was like, what the fuck? You probably started lots of different businesses throughout your career, because part of entrepreneurship is literally just finding out what you like and also what works for you. I've started and failed more businesses than I can count on one hand, which is both embarrassing, I think, and impressive at the same time. So yeah, this is basically all the lessons I've learned from the last 7 failures, 7-ish. I'll explain. Let's get into it, I guess. So the first business technically was being a freelance photographer and videographer. So I was just kind of shooting whatever I could possibly find. And I started this when I was 17. So that was like where I started. That's my roots. So this business was basically like comprised of a bunch of different types of video work. So we had music videos, we had weddings, we had commercials, I did real estate videos, like promotional stuff, like kind of whatever people needed. I was a freelance videographer. I was just contracted to film things, and then obviously I edited them as well. So that was how I started out. So first pro is by doing this just widespread type of work, it was really easy for me to find work. There were just so many options out there, and every person I met referred me to someone else for some kind of video work. It wasn't always the same. So that was a nice organic business. I did photography alongside the video, so I had just a lot of options. I was kind of, the do-it-all video guy, do-it-all camera guy, basically. The biggest con was just trading time for money all the time, I was spending all my time shooting, editing, and editing especially was the bottleneck. I could never keep up with the editing. It was just far too much to handle. So I was always backlogged, always busy, working constantly. And I made decent money for a 17-year-old. So the con mainly was just the time for money thing. And because I was acting as a videographer with all these different things that I was doing, I was kind of letting the market dictate how much I could charge, and I was very restrictive. I didn't let myself charge more. I just did more work. I think to run a business like that, I think you need an editor. I really do. The thing that I learned from that, if I could change anything, is I would just find someone who's like an all-around, all-purpose editor, and I would hand them all my projects, and I would have just kept ramping up the prices. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have changed. I just wish they would expose a little bit better. Yeah, the next business was really when I moved to Los Angeles, and basically when I was doing the freelance stuff, the music video side of things kind of took off. That was the thing that I would say succeeded, not even financially, but just the artists that I was working with, they were getting millions of views. And it was, working, right? Well, really, it was just one artist. It was Dax, but we can talk about that another time. So I ended up moving to Los Angeles and started a production company, specifically focused on music videos. So yes, I'd already been doing music videos, but now I'm running a production company. So now I'm hiring people. So I'm getting crew. I'm getting people to help with editing. I'm getting people to help with the shooting, people to help with lights, assistants, producers to help with the logistics, things like that. So I'm starting to organize teams. So I think the biggest pro of that was just it was just really enjoyable. It was fun. It was creative work. We're listening to a lot of music. I was living with artists at the time, so just kind of hanging out with my friends. So that was really fun. I truly enjoyed that. That was really enjoyable. Con, I would say, probably the worst time to pay ratio out of anything that I've experienced. It was pretty terrible. Not great money. But I also think that if you would get further into the music video space, I'm sure that you could make plenty of money, but it just wasn't. In the 3 years that I was really in it, it just really didn't make a lot of money. At least I did not make a lot of money. Now, I also am going to mention I did start a dropshipping store, but that lasted no more than a few months, so I barely count it as a try of a business. But the reason why I tried it is the more important thing, which is because I had this idea that I needed to add more income streams and start a new business and all these things, because that was what I was reading online, and also because music videos, as I mentioned, wasn't paying that well. So I tried to add another income stream. Obviously, it didn't work because I didn't spend enough time on it, but the lesson I learned there is that you really have to focus on one thing at a time, Every time I've tried to do multiple businesses at the same time, things just never really work. I think once you get a business to a certain point where it can run on its own, that's a different story, but that's not happening in 2 or 3 months, and it may not even happen in 2 or 3 years. So that's my thought there. To the next spot we go. Oh, I did not jump into the right spot. Oops. Okay, so that wasn't the only business I started when I was in Los Angeles. I sometimes forget about this, was I actually had started and co-founded a music management company. And I had met a guy out in LA that I had partnered with, and we had worked together. And since I already had a few big artists that I was kind of filming with and stuff, we had obviously seen like an easy way into the industry, making some fast connections. And kind of what happened, just to give you like a really long story short, is we ended up getting a few artists, and we had a multi-million-dollar deal on the table. Me and other co-founder, we had 10% each. We had 20% between the two of us, and we had multi-million-dollar deals on the table. And mind you, like, I'm 19 right now, so this was like crazy big for me. And what ended up happening is that it fell through, and ultimately none of it worked out, and I'm very thankful for that. I'll make another video another time about like why I'm very thankful that I did not actually get that money. I'll make a different video about that. And I would say the biggest benefit and thing that I learned from that business, more so from my business partner at the time, it showed me that I could literally like walk up to anyone, I could talk to anyone, and there was no issues there. And my business partner really opened me up to that. We spoke to a lot of really high-level people. I had some of the craziest conversations. Like, I'm literally a 19-year-old kid having conversations with CEOs of these billion-dollar record labels. I can't tell you the amount of like imposter syndrome that I felt sitting in these rooms, but I had just got in the room with some really interesting people with this business, whether it be owners of record labels, whether it be like A&Rs, and we ended up doing a lot of traveling for that. We actually went out to New York to meet basically the in-house team of this record label that we were talking to, but we met the CEO in LA, and then we flew to New York to meet the team, and this was the deal that we were, the big deal that was on the table. And I just remember, I totally forgot about this. When we were in New York, we met Gary Vee too. So we went up to Gary Vee's office. Honestly, like, this isn't like a flex, like I was like kind of fanboying when I met the guy, like honestly, because, you know, he was Gary Vee and I was a 19-year-old kid. But then, you know, talking to Gary Vee and he tells you, oh yeah, I've been watching the stuff that you're doing for Dax, it's really good. Like, having Gary Vee tell me that, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was the craziest thing in the world. So that's so cool. I forgot that happened. I don't know if my legs are too damn heavy, if I just don't know how to do it anymore. I don't know. What else happened there? While I was working on this music management thing, we had this is like my co-founder, my business partner at the time. Like, he was the one who got these connects. Like, I'm gonna be honest. He messages me and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go talk with Drake's dad, Dennis Graham, about a TV show. Are you interested? So I text back, no, of course not. You know, I only work with A-list celebrities, you know. No, I said yes. That happened. So we ended up doing the TV show. We ended up shooting the pilot for the TV show. I executive produced, directed, all that fun stuff, cinematography team. We did the pilot episode, so we got to shoot everything, meet a bunch of celebrities and stuff. You need me to come get you? Yeah, she's gonna need me to come get her. Hold on a sec. Hold that thought.
Huh?
Say hello.
Huh? Hey. Merry Christmas. Is that gay?
That's right. Yeah, that's kind of good. So the pilot got shot, got edited, and it just didn't end up like coming together. They didn't end up wanting to do the show. It actually kind of got backlash. Like, it kind of got backlash because Drake said something about it, and he kind of shot it down. He's like, oh, my dad's trying to do the little vlog thing or something. He made some comment about like he like kind of put his dad down about it, and it kind of like hurt. It was like bad press on the show.
Not good.
So yeah, so that happened, by the way. Maybe I should do the rest of the video like this.
So
in the next business. The reason the music management company didn't really happen either was honestly just like we were unable to make long-term plays because we didn't have the short-term cash to take the risks that we needed to take for it, because it was all like big giant deals that we were taking a piece from, not like getting paid cash monthly, recurringly, or project based. You kind of need some capital to be able to take the risk for it. So that's why that didn't work out. No, that's like pretty much it in Los Angeles. So COVID happened. We all knew about that. Music industry obviously kind of shut down because, as you can imagine, there's other human beings here. So it might be kind of loud. I may not be able to finish this right now. Hola. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? We're back. Little children joined us at the pool. So yeah, so COVID happened and everything, music industry shut down, and I ended up moving back from Los Angeles back to... Oh, I actually have an in-between business. So before I started my next business, I had like an in-between business, and I say, again, it was one of those things that only lasted like, I want to say maybe 6 months. I came back, tried to do music videos again, just got tired of being broke, ended up doing like an advertising agency, or I attempted to, and it was a full service. So I was doing videos and the ads and the photos and all that stuff. The reason that didn't go anywhere is because I had never marketed for a business before. And a lot of people who run marketing agencies seem to kind of have the same thing where they've never actually ran a business and they're marketing for other people. That was the reason it didn't work for me. And I think the reason why it doesn't work for most people. So I'm not going to talk too much about that, just simply because I didn't really last too long on that, because I started learning how to run ads. So I started learning how to run ads, and then I started advertising for the wedding videos, because I used to do the wedding videos back when I was a freelance videographer back in the first chapter. That was a big source of my income, actually. I was able to afford a Red cinema camera from shooting weddings. That was probably the majority of the income there. So from there, I decided to start running ads just for myself, for the wedding business, and started booking a lot more weddings that way, or at least that was the intention. I decided to shut everything else down and just fully focus on the weddings. And I think this is the first time, obviously outside of when I started the business, when I was in high school, when I was 17, that I had focused on just one thing. Because when I moved out to LA, I was doing the music videos, but then I tried to drop ship, like I mentioned. I tried to do the management thing. Like, I finally focused my efforts on one thing. Spent a bunch of money on learning how to do digital marketing, like ads, the funnels, the digital marketing crap. You already know what I'm saying. This, I would call this new chapter, this new business, was like a wedding video agency. And it started out as just more of a wedding video production company, like it was me shooting. But then I hired an editor, and I had worked with some buddies where I was like, when I was in LA before I came back, actually, they started shooting some things, sending me the footage. So we were able to, start to do weddings without me being there. That was the first time I started to experience any kind of like scale and team when it comes to something like this, because even with music videos, when I had a team, I was still there. And once I trained an editor, that was when I started actually seeing like, oh, I can make money without being there. And that was the kind of the lesson from the wedding video agency, was like, yeah, just create leverage. Yeah, like that was really what it was. Learning how to multiply my time or gain my time back. This was my most profitable, successful, quote unquote, business. Because I focused on one thing. Obviously, I learned how to leverage time, learn how to get my time back, learn how to build teams and systems. So I'll briefly mention kind of my experience there. So I hired an admin who is like a VA who is just doing a lot of the kind of day-to-day admin tasks. But also when I hired her, her main objective was actually help me with lead generation, and that was what actually really grew the company, because I had a lead generation system that was sort of working, but then we just did over 10 times the amount of volume, 100 times the amount of volume in terms of the posting and all the stuff we were doing, and it really grew the business, obviously. So I was hiring editors, I had my admins, and then I was hiring shooters, and then I started hiring more different shooters around the country. So I was hiring wedding videographers that already had existing businesses. I was subcontracting them to shoot the weddings, and then having them send us the footage to my in-house editors. And that's what we did for a few years. That did pretty well, at least for me, my own standards. That was the first time I'd seen a really big spike in revenue, and honestly the last 7 years before that. The biggest pros of it was just time-wise. I was able to do a lot without physically being there, since I had started hiring teams and stuff. Lessons that I learned from that was definitely how to hire people, how to fire people, how to train people, how to build systems and like the, SOPs, just turning the business into a machine rather than being like a person. The business became like a machine, like a separate entity than me. What kind of ended up happening is I just ended up not really enjoying what I was doing for a number of reasons. And I kind of like made a video about that before. The only thing that you really need to know is that I built the business to make money. And ultimately when I got, when I actually did start making some money, it wasn't really fulfilling the need to grow anymore, because I had gotten a little bit of success there, and I realized that, the amount of work I just put in to get here, I don't know if I can actually repeat that, because I don't like what I'm doing enough. Honestly, I didn't have a lot of passion towards it. It was a business, and that's okay for a season at least. But after a while, I started feeling rather unaligned and just not enjoying it. So I very, very slowly but surely kind of have been shutting it down, and honestly just now have been making the decision to really shut it down, because I had a buddy of mine who was helping kind of take it over, and then we kind of just decided ultimately that it wasn't worth it. Now I'm fully committed to the new thing. Other cons in the business, we're just a headache of managing a bunch of people, obviously. It was also very high risk because it was weddings, so if anyone messed anything up, it was just it's all on me, and I didn't have a lot of control over things at times. But I did create a lot of systems, and we really never had any serious issues with any of our teams, which is almost kind of surprising, to be honest. But it was an incredible learning lesson on what building a business kind of looks like, because my businesses, and I air quote them, in the past weren't really businesses. They were hustles, or or they were just freelance kind of work. That's more so what they were. What I kind of landed on doing now is I went through a season of trying to figure out what the hell I was doing next, and I'm still in that, to be honest. Basically what I'm doing is bridging the gap between business owners and their customers, but also bridging the gap between business owners and videographers to create the videos for these customers, to have the authentic connection, to share the personality behind the brand, the owner, whatever it may be, to tell stories, to connect with people on a genuine level, so that way your business is being built by a community of people rather than by customers, quote unquote. We have this incredible opportunity of the internet to make a video like this and share it across the world. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Basically, if you're a business owner and you're in the space of needing video content, whether it be for your social medias, whether it be internal, whatever it may be, I'm kind of bridging that gap between the two. So obviously, if you're interested, I'll have a link in the description that you can reach out for. I think that's it. Welcome to dinner in Medellin. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's probably not going to be Christmas when I post this. It's going to be 3 months from now. So my closing thoughts, after looking at all the different businesses that I've built, overall lessons, I would say, I'll kind of try to summarize everything. One, I think that all the businesses that I've created or been involved with all added to be able to do what I do today. So I'm not saying that just because these businesses failed, technically, means that I regret doing them, and I don't mean that I would change anything, because I ultimately just developed a bunch of skills by doing this. So I think that my overall lessons would be, one, develop as many skills as possible, try as many things as possible, see what you like. That's probably my biggest lesson for myself that I'm still actively working on. Find what aligns with you, what do you like, what do you get excited about, and lean into your strengths. So I would say that's probably my first lesson. The next one is sunk cost bias. Don't be afraid to drop something just because it's quote unquote working. Don't be afraid to just destroy the thing that you built if it doesn't make sense for you. And I think life is way too short to be spending time doing things we don't want to do. So that would be my second one. Probably thirdly is just understanding leverage and time. Putting your time into the best use, the thing that you excel at, the thing that you enjoy, finding what the highest leverage thing for you is. Leverage is easy to put on a black and white scale and saying, well, it's more leverage for you to be doing sales calls or whatever. But that may not be the case if it's not something that fulfills you and you enjoy. The thing that you excel at is usually the thing that you're going to be one of the highest leverage activities for you. The thing that you can do for 12 hours a day without issues.
it's easy to spend time on things that you just want to do just to make the most amount of money. I think that's probably the thing. But it's like finding out what you like and what you can do for a long period of time, because money's made over a long period of time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think that's probably my lessons. I think my last one is document your journey. Document what you're doing, even if it's just for yourself. Like, even if it's just for you to look back on with some nostalgia from the time period of life that you're in right now. That's worth, I think, doing, is documenting it. But also, once again, sharing your story is the literal easiest way to connect with like any kind of audience, whether you're trying to sell them something or not. That's the best way to connect with people. So documenting your journey is an easy way to share your story. So that's also what I'd recommend. So if you need help with that, let me know. But I think that's it. Closing thoughts? Look at that. That's that fake diamond shine. All right, enjoy this view of Medellin. I think this is the end of the video. Alrighty. Okay. Why are you still here?
Me?
This is the end of the video. What are you doing? Go. Leave me alone. It's Christmas, dude. Go do something else.